Benjamin Carlyle sat in his private study, the skyline of Atlanta stretching endlessly through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The hum of city life below contrasted sharply with the stillness inside, where every detail had been meticulously planned. 3 years had passed since his wife, Margaret, had died of cancer, leaving him alone with their daughter, Lily, a quiet, sensitive girl who seemed to have withdrawn from the world. Benjamin's heart ached for her, and yet he knew that finding a woman capable of loving Lily as he did would not be simple. He had made countless decisions in business with precision, but this was about the heart, and hearts were unpredictable. He had invited 3 remarkable women into his life. Cassandra Monroe, a high-profile interior designer with a reputation for elegance and control. Dr. Helena Pierce, a renowned child development expert whose accolades made her intimidating. And Victoria Sterling, a socialite and philanthropist known for her charm and sharp intelligence. On the surface, all 3 were perfect candidates by societal standards, successful, sophisticated, and accustomed to the kind of life Benjamin provided. What they didn't know, and what he intended to keep secret, was that he had installed a series of discrete cameras throughout his home, capturing every interaction with Lily. Benjamin believed that character revealed itself in subtle moments, small acts of patience, kindness, and genuine interest that no resume or public profile could convey. The first time Cassandra Monroe entered the house, she carried herself like a queen surveying a kingdom, her heels clicking sharply against the polished wooden floors. She smiled at Lily, but it was the smile of someone measuring her audience rather than connecting with it. Benjamin watched as Cassandra arranged Lily's books in a symmetrical pattern, questioned her about manners and etiquette, and suggested changes to Lily's bedroom that reflected more of Cassandra's taste than the child's. Lily, normally reserved, recoiled slightly, unsure whether to speak or retreat. Cassandra's focus was meticulous, but it lacked warmth. Benjamin frowned, noting the subtle tension between the two. His daughter's eyes, usually dull and tired, did not light up in her presence. Next was Dr. Helena Pierce. She arrived with her credentials in hand, a woman whose intellect and authority were immediately apparent. She approached Lily with a series of carefully structured questions, attempting to assess her cognitive abilities, her social skills, and even her emotional intelligence. Benjamin observed quietly, sipping his coffee, noticing the rigidity of the interaction. Helena's attention was on potential and performance, not on Lily's happiness or comfort. She praised the girl's answers but dismissed her hesitations, pushing her toward tasks and conversations that were ultimately designed to test her rather than nurture her. Benjamin's chest tightened. Knowledge and skill were admirable, but they were not enough. Lily deserved more than someone who saw her as a project. Victoria Sterling was last. She entered with effortless poise, a radiant smile that seemed genuine at first glance. She complimented Lily, spoke warmly, and even engaged her in playful conversation. Benjamin felt a flicker of hope, imagining that perhaps she might bridge the gap between sophistication and emotional intimacy. But as days passed, subtle signs emerged that her charm was a mask. She often diverted conversations back to herself, praised her own experiences excessively, and encouraged Lily to conform to the image Victoria deemed desirable. Benjamin noticed Lily growing tense when Victoria was around, her questions stifled, her laughter forced. The girl had always been cautious with strangers, but the careful brightness she had regained in small moments began to dim under Victoria's influence. Benjamin sighed. Despite appearances, none of the women truly understood Lily's heart. Meanwhile, there was Arya Bennett. Benjamin had originally hired her as Lily's tutor on his late wife's insistence. Arya was not wealthy, nor did she carry a prominent social reputation, but she possessed a warmth and attentiveness that immediately captured Benjamin's attention. She had a master's degree in child psychology but worked humbly, dedicating herself to her students while supporting her own family. The bond between Arya and Lily developed quietly, almost imperceptibly. Benjamin watched hidden footage of them in the library. Lily's head resting against Arya's shoulder as they read, her laughter spilling freely when Arya made a gentle joke about a stubborn character in the story, the small but profound encouragement that allowed Lily to express her feelings without fear. Benjamin's plan, carefully laid out, began to wobble. The elegance of Cassandra, the expertise of Helena, and the charm of Victoria paled in comparison to the authenticity Arya offered. One afternoon, Benjamin reviewed hours of footage in his study, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the room. He saw Cassandra criticize Lily's handwriting, Helena push her toward a timed reasoning exercise, and Victoria subtly undermine Lily's choices during a casual game. Each of these moments, while minor, spoke volumes about their priorities, appearances, achievement, and control. Then, the footage of Arya appeared. She gently guided Lily through a difficult math problem, celebrated the child's small victories, and encouraged her to share her thoughts about the world, her emotions, her grief. Lily's smile was genuine, her laughter natural. Benjamin's chest tightened as he realized what he had suspected. Love, patience, and empathy could not be faked or engineered. Benjamin thought back to a letter from his late wife, tucked away in a drawer, yellowed at the edges. Margaret had written about the importance of connection over appearances, of understanding a child's soul rather than measuring it against societal standards. She had specifically requested Arya remain close to Lily, her handwriting firm and heartfelt. Benjamin had set out to create the perfect test, but the perfect answer had been present all along, quietly demonstrating that love was shown in attention, in patience, in shared moments. His plan, designed to control every variable, began to feel unnecessary. The women he had selected for their accomplishments and allure could not replace the quiet, steadfast presence of Arya. Days turned into weeks as Benjamin continued his observations. He orchestrated structured visits, an hour alone between each candidate and Lily, small activities designed to reveal character. Cassandra redecorated parts of Lily's room according to her own vision. Helena pushed academic boundaries without considering the girl's comfort, and Victoria attempted to impress Lily with stories of her own glamorous life. Benjamin noted each reaction carefully, marking subtle shifts in mood, the fleeting moments of tension or disconnection. By contrast, Arya's influence was gentle, invisible yet transformative. Lily engaged more, laughed more, and even began to express thoughts she had previously kept hidden. Benjamin realized that the test he had devised was redundant. The result was evident in Lily's eyes and in her warmth toward Arya. One evening, Benjamin overheard a conversation between Lily and Arya while reviewing footage. Arya had knelt by Lily's bedside, speaking softly about a dream the girl had had, encouraging her to explore the feelings it stirred rather than dismissing them. "It's okay to feel scared sometimes," Arya murmured. "But you've got this, Lily. You really do." The girl had nodded, tears brimming but unashamed, trusting someone enough to be vulnerable. Benjamin felt an ache of relief and admiration. In that moment, he realized that his plan to impose perfection had been a misunderstanding of what Lily truly needed. She did not need grandeur, status, or accolades. She needed empathy, presence, and genuine love. The night deepened, and Benjamin sat alone, contemplating the months of observation, the footage he had reviewed, and the moments of intimacy and disconnection he had cataloged. He understood now that no amount of planning could replace authenticity. His daughter's heart, once withdrawn and cautious, responded to Arya in ways no test, no display of wealth or intelligence, could replicate. He closed his laptop and leaned back, realizing that sometimes the most perfect solution is the one that arrives quietly, without fanfare, patiently waiting to be recognized. Arya Bennett had been part of Lily's life for nearly 2 years, her presence steady, reassuring, and quietly influential. She had a way of noticing the smallest shifts in Lily's mood, the way the girl's fingers lingered on a book cover when she felt uncertain, or how her smile faltered when a memory of her mother surfaced unexpectedly. Arya did not offer quick fixes or empty reassurances. Instead, she created space for Lily to explore her grief and her joys with patience and sensitivity. Each tutoring session was not merely about academics. It was about building trust, nurturing confidence, and helping a young girl learn that her emotions were valid and worthy of attention. Benjamin had observed these interactions from the shadows, initially out of curiosity, but increasingly with awe. He had thought he could engineer love and connection, but Arya had demonstrated that these things emerged naturally when someone approached another human being with empathy and respect. One morning, Lily approached Arya in the sunlit kitchen, a hesitant smile tugging at her lips. "I drew something," she said, holding up a crumpled piece of paper. Arya knelt beside her, examining the drawing with exaggerated interest, letting her eyes linger on every detail. "I love the colors you chose, and the way the tree stretches to the sky," Arya commented. Lily's eyes brightened, the shadows that had been there for months momentarily lifting. They spent the next hour talking about the drawing, about the shapes of clouds, and about how certain things could feel heavy until you put them into words or on paper. Benjamin, hidden upstairs, watched Lily's demeanor transform. She laughed freely, leaned closer to Arya, and even shared little secrets that she had withheld from her father for months. In that moment, Benjamin recognized a fundamental truth. Connection could not be manufactured through wealth, status, or reputation. It was earned through presence, patience, and genuine affection. Meanwhile, the other women continued their visits, unaware that their every move was recorded and analyzed. Cassandra Monroe remained preoccupied with appearances, frequently suggesting renovations and redecorations in ways that reflected her own taste rather than Lily's preferences. Helena Pierce continued to focus on structured challenges and tests, pressing Lily to perform in ways that emphasized results over emotional comfort. Victoria Sterling, for all her charm, failed to provide the emotional support that a grieving child needed, instead treating interactions as opportunities to impress or entertain. Benjamin reviewed footage of these encounters repeatedly, noting subtle signs of discomfort in Lily's hesitant glances, tight shoulders, moments of withdrawal. The contrast between these women and Arya was stark. Arya's attention was unselfish, her demeanor gentle yet encouraging, her patience infinite. Every interaction reinforced the realization that genuine care could not be faked or substituted with sophistication. It was during one particularly quiet afternoon that Benjamin began to see the depth of Arya's influence. He watched as Lily stumbled through a reading assignment, frustration flickering across her face. Arya placed her hand gently over Lily's and said softly, "It's okay to feel frustrated. You're learning, and it's fine to take your time." Lily's shoulders relaxed slightly, and with a tentative nod, she tried again. Benjamin's heart ached at the sight, recognizing the simple power of reassurance and presence. Arya did not demand perfection, nor did she push for immediate results. She understood that Lily needed to experience growth at her own pace, supported by someone who genuinely cared. In that room, the girl's laughter returned, quiet at first, then more robust as she realized that mistakes were not failures but steps toward understanding. Over the following weeks, Benjamin began to examine his own expectations and assumptions. He had carefully constructed a test designed to measure compatibility, a checklist of qualities he deemed essential. Yet, the footage revealed that the women he had considered ideal candidates, Cassandra, Helena, and Victoria, failed not due to lack of sophistication or intelligence, but because they lacked a genuine connection with Lily. Arya's influence, in contrast, was transformative. The girl who had been reserved, cautious, and withdrawn began to bloom under Arya's guidance, her eyes lighting up with curiosity, her laughter ringing through the halls in ways that Benjamin had not heard since his wife's passing. He understood, finally, that what Lily needed was not perfection or status, but someone who could see her heart, respond to it with empathy, and help her navigate the world without fear or judgment. Benjamin also began to notice subtle ways in which Lily's personality had shifted under Arya's care. The girl began asking questions about the world beyond her immediate surroundings, expressing interest in literature, music, and art. She confided in Arya about dreams and fears, about memories of her mother, and about the small moments that had once felt insignificant. Arya's responses were always measured and compassionate, guiding Lily toward understanding and acceptance without diminishing her emotions. Benjamin realized that these small, daily acts of attentiveness were far more important than the grand gestures or accolades the other women offered. Genuine love, he observed, was about presence, consistency, and attentiveness, qualities that could not be faked or imposed. One day, Benjamin reviewed footage of an evening conversation between Lily and Arya that left him particularly moved. Lily had been struggling with sadness, missing her mother deeply. Arya sat on the floor with her, knees tucked close, and spoke softly about loss and healing. She shared her own story of having lost a child years earlier, describing the pain and the eventual process of finding light again. Lily listened, tears streaming down her cheeks, and Arya held her hand, offering comfort without judgment. Benjamin felt a lump form in his throat, realizing that Arya's own experiences allowed her to empathize in a way that the other women could not. The bond between tutor and student was deep, sincere, and mutually healing. Lily was not merely responding to kindness. She was connecting with someone who understood grief and could help her navigate it. Benjamin began comparing notes with Dr. Olivia Grant, a family consultant he had trusted for years. They analyzed the interactions, evaluating each woman's strengths and weaknesses. Dr. Grant noted, "You've created an elaborate system, but what matters most is how Lily responds emotionally. Arya's presence consistently elicits trust, openness, and joy. That's rare and invaluable." Benjamin nodded, internalizing the wisdom. He had thought he could engineer love, but he now understood that connection was organic, requiring authenticity and emotional intelligence that no resume, charm, or wealth could replicate. The test, meticulously planned, had inadvertently highlighted the most important truth. Genuine human connection could not be simulated or imposed. It had to be felt and earned. The final structured encounters were approaching. Benjamin allowed each woman an hour alone with Lily, believing this would crystallize his observations. Cassandra focused on redecorating and reorganizing. Helena pushed intellectual challenges, and Victoria showcased social graces and glamorous anecdotes. Yet Lily's reactions confirmed Benjamin's earlier assessments of tension, forced smiles, and moments of withdrawal. When Arya entered the room, however, Lily's entire demeanor shifted. She relaxed, smiled, and spoke freely. Arya engaged her in meaningful conversation, listened intently, and shared small stories of her own experiences. The bond was palpable, a quiet yet profound testament to genuine affection and care. Benjamin realized that his plan, once designed to control outcomes, had become unnecessary. The answer had always been present, in the patient, consistent love Arya provided. By the end of the observation period, Benjamin felt a profound sense of clarity. He reviewed the footage one final time, noting the stark contrast between the women he had invited into his home and Arya. While the others had impressed with status, intellect, and sophistication, Arya had demonstrated something infinitely rarer: the ability to connect authentically with Lily, to nurture her, and to help her flourish emotionally. Benjamin understood that the carefully curated test he had orchestrated had inadvertently illuminated the truth. Genuine love was not about appearances or accolades. It was about empathy, presence, and unwavering support. In that quiet revelation, he knew that his next step would define not only Lily's future, but his own. Benjamin Carlyle sat alone in his study late one evening, the soft glow of the desk lamp illuminating the scattered papers, photographs, and letters that had become his silent companions in recent weeks. He felt a mixture of relief, apprehension, and determination, knowing that the careful observations, countless hours of footage, and subtle experiments had led him to a single, undeniable truth. Lily's happiness did not reside in wealth, glamour, or superficial achievement, but in genuine, heartfelt connection. His mind returned to the letter from his late wife, Margaret Carlyle, which he had found tucked in an old journal. The handwriting was elegant, looping across the page with tenderness and clarity, outlining her hopes for Lily's upbringing and specifically requesting that Arya remain close to his daughter. The revelation struck Benjamin with the weight of inevitability. He had been searching for perfection when the perfect choice had been present all along. The other candidates, Cassandra Monroe, Dr. Helena Pierce, and Victoria Sterling, had each displayed their own allure, sophistication, intelligence, charm. Yet each had ultimately failed the unspoken test of emotional authenticity. Cassandra's preoccupation with control and appearances had stifled Lily's natural curiosity. Helena's relentless focus on achievement had overlooked the girl's need for comfort and validation. Victoria's charm, though initially captivating, had masked a self-centered approach that left Lily feeling uncertain and unseen. Benjamin realized that societal expectations, accolades, and impressive resumes could not substitute for the kind of love that nurtures growth and security. What mattered most, he concluded, was a connection that was patient, empathetic, and unwavering. Arya Bennett had quietly embodied those qualities from the beginning. Her gentle guidance, attentive listening, and steady presence had created a space where Lily felt safe to explore her thoughts, confront her grief, and experience joy once again. Benjamin watched hidden footage of Arya reading with Lily one rainy afternoon. The girl perched on a window seat with her head leaning lightly against Arya's shoulder, as they laughed together over a passage that reminded them both of a childhood memory. Lily's laughter was spontaneous, full-bodied, and free, a stark contrast to the measured politeness of Sage. Ben felt a lump in his throat, the evidence undeniable. Arya's love and attentiveness had fostered an emotional growth in Lily that no external accolade or luxury could replicate. One evening, Benjamin invited Arya to his study under the pretense of discussing Lily's upcoming academic schedule. The tension between expectation and truth weighed heavily in the room, though Arya remained her composed, empathetic self. Benjamin finally addressed the unspoken reality. Arya, you've become more than a tutor. You've guided Lily in ways none of us could have anticipated. Your presence here, it changes everything. Arya's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and cautious optimism. Benjamin continued, I've realized that everything I tried to orchestrate, the tests, the candidates, the carefully curated plan, was unnecessary. The person Lily truly needs, the person she trusts and loves, has been right here all along. That person is you. Arya's lips quivered in quiet emotion, and for a moment, the weight of years of sacrifice, patience, and care hung in the air between them. Benjamin then shared the contents of Margaret's letter, the words flowing from his lips with reverence. How Margaret had envisioned a life where Lily would be surrounded by authentic love, someone who would nurture her heart and understand her pain. She hoped you would be here for her, Benjamin said softly. She wanted you to be part of our family, to help guide Lily and care for her the way only you can. Arya's hand instinctively reached for Benjamin's, a gesture of acknowledgement and quiet gratitude. I never imagined. I just wanted to be there for her, she whispered, voice catching. I never expected this. Benjamin shook his head gently, smiling through the vulnerability that had begun to soften the edges of his own guarded heart. It's not about expectation, Arya. It's about love. And that's what matters. The realization crystallized fully in Benjamin's mind. Societal standards, wealth, and superficial charm paled in comparison to authentic connection and shared empathy. He had once believed that only a woman of status and poise could be a fitting stepmother for Lily, but Arya's consistent presence, emotional intelligence, and compassion proved that love was far more profound than any external measure. He reflected on the moments captured on camera, Lily's laughter, the quiet conversations about fears and dreams, the spontaneous embraces that arose from mutual trust. These were not staged or contrived, they were genuine. The girl had chosen, in her own subtle, honest way, the person she loved and trusted the most. Benjamin formally ended the candidacies of Cassandra, Helena, and Victoria, discreetly informing them that they would not be continuing. He spared them the long explanations, recognizing that any further conversation would only highlight the contrast with Arya. The relief he felt was accompanied by a sense of liberation. The carefully orchestrated experiment was complete, and the truth had emerged unaltered. It was time to embrace what was real, what had already been nurtured quietly but profoundly over months of shared experience. Benjamin knew that honoring his wife's wishes and his daughter's heart required courage, honesty, and a willingness to defy expectation. Finally, Benjamin invited Arya into the living room, where Lily was reading by the fireplace. The girl's face lit up when she saw Arya enter, her small hands clutching the book with excitement. Benjamin knelt beside Arya and whispered, "Lily has made her choice, even if she doesn't know she did. And I would like you to make yours." Arya looked at Lily, whose eyes sparkled with affection and trust, and then back at Benjamin. Her expression softened, resolve forming. "I choose her," she said quietly. "I choose both of you. I want to be here, as her mother, as part of this family." Tears brimmed in Benjamin's eyes as he nodded, feeling the weight of his own emotions lift. Then let's be a family, Arya. All of us, together. The following months were marked by gentle transitions. Arya assumed a maternal role in Lily's life, guiding, nurturing, and encouraging her without overstepping boundaries. Benjamin observed the transformations. Lily's laughter became more spontaneous, her curiosity more expansive, and her confidence more evident. The home was no longer a place of quiet longing. It was alive with warmth, conversation, and the subtle rhythms of daily love. Benjamin marveled at how a family formed not through appearances, orchestrated tests, or societal expectation, but through genuine connection and care. He often found himself watching the two of them, Arya and Lily, in quiet moments of shared joy, realizing that the greatest victories in life were those of the heart, won not through control, but through empathy and dedication. 1 year later, the Carlisle household had transformed. Benjamin, Arya, and Lily had created a routine filled with laughter, mutual respect, and small, meaningful rituals. Mornings began with shared breakfasts, afternoons were spent exploring creative projects or reading together, and evenings were reserved for storytelling and gentle reflection. Benjamin often recalled the initial doubts, the elaborate test, and the unfulfilled expectations of the other women, smiling now at how unnecessary all of it had been. The bond between Lily and Arya had proven stronger than any plan, more profound than any checklist, and infinitely more valuable than any social accolade. Benjamin's heart, once weighed by grief and uncertainty, now knew a deep and enduring peace, forged by love and authenticity. In the quiet of one evening, Benjamin reflected on the journey. He realized that love cannot be orchestrated, tested, or purchased. It grows in the subtleties of attention, the patience of presence, and the courage to be vulnerable. Lily had chosen with clarity her own guide, her own heart leading her to Arya, and Benjamin had followed, trusting in the wisdom of his late wife and the innate instincts of a child's love. Together, they had forged a family not defined by wealth or appearance, but by trust, empathy, and genuine devotion. The realization settled in him with quiet satisfaction. When hearts align naturally, joy follows, and resilience blossoms. Moral lesson: true love is not measured by wealth, status, or appearances. It is nurtured through patience, empathy, and consistent presence. Children and adults alike flourish when they feel seen, heard, and genuinely valued. Life often tests our assumptions about what is necessary for happiness, revealing that authenticity outweighs perfection. Trust your instincts, honor sincere connections, and cherish those who offer empathy without expectation. Healing, growth, and joy emerge from small acts of care, quiet understanding, and genuine attention. Families built on love and truth become resilient, joyful, and enduring, proving that the heart knows its own path.